Game number 50 coming up this weekend against the Commanders in his career. It's start number 11 for the Giants this year with the new regime. How deep into their evaluation process do you think they are in either knowing they're moving forward with him? I'm not saying they're going to tell us, but them knowing they're going ahead with Danny in 2023 and beyond, or they're not. What do you think?
I think they're pretty far into it. I think what happens now is, like, can he execute what they're asking him to do with the available personnel? I think they have a pretty good idea of what he can do there. Now it comes down to projecting not only what he could do with better personnel, but is there someone out there or coming into a draft based on your positioning that would give your team a better chance? I heard you guys earlier today talking about who's a Super Bowl quarterback. None of them are Super Bowl quarterbacks until they are, and a lot of that has to do with, yes, their decision-making and execution, but it also has to do with the personnel around them. Mm-hmm. When you look at Tom Brady's last couple Super Bowls, he was not the best player on the field. He was the best player for them throughout his Patriots run, regular season, but there were some games in Super Bowls where he was not the best player on the field.
Yeah.
Or their best player.
No, you're right about that. And even when he got to Tampa, he wasn't. Their defense was really good, and Mike Evans was a stud, and Chris Godwin played well. Antonio Brown had a big part in that as well. So you're absolutely right about that. But when you think about Daniel Jones and what –
I have lost everyone.
Yeah. When you think about what he's done – Carl, can you still hear us? I think Carl is
I think he tapped out. Finish your thought there, T. We'll get him wired up.
Yeah, but the question about Daniel Jones is, even though we haven't got a full evaluation on him, do the Giants have any other option, right? Because you talk about this as far as what's the alternative. It's like, get rid of Daniel Jones. And then as Amy Trask always says, and then what? So,
no,
and then what? Yeah.
And
do what? So, it almost is, Daniel Jones is almost the best option for the Giants next year, correct?
Well, yeah. Listen, he could be the best option for a lot. Look around the league, right? And everyone wants to point to the top 3, 4, 5 quarterbacks. They don't come every year.
Yeah.
And the teams that have them don't get rid of them. So you have to work with what you have. And if your guy has, number one, pretty good football IQ, the ability to make good decisions, then you start to build a team around him. I'm not saying that that's what the Giants are going to do, because they may have someone in mind, but as a general rule in this league, everyone wants the best quarterback. That's why he's the best quarterback, but he's not available. They don't microwave the Josh Allens and the Patrick Mahomes. And listen, everyone wanted to throw Jalen Hurts away a year ago, literally.
Yeah, and Tua. Tua was the same way.
And Tua, right? And literally up until opening day, the Miami Dolphins openly wanted to get rid of Tua.
That's true.
And now look, so you hate them until you love them, and you just give them the tools that will help your team be better.
Yeah, but now, Carl, I hear you. You're right on how we almost force guys in, like same with Zach Wilson. Like you almost need him to be the guy. So the process of evaluation is a little bit skewed.
What's the guy though?
I understand that.
How you define the guy?
Well, it's fluid. I hate that expression, but it really is, because every situation is different. But I'm going to say this, and I'm largely with you, but Tua's situation is very different than Daniel Jones. Daniel Jones going into year 5 is and Danny Jones has never even come close to putting these numbers up that Tua's putting up.
Okay.
So I don't know that that's the best comparison.
No, we're just talking about who's the guy. Like, everyone has a different idea of a player, of a quarterback. In the quarterback position, again, it comes down to making good decisions, doing what the coaches need you to do to operate within. He's got them in playoff contention. Is there someone better? Then I'm sure they're going to look at it. If there's not, then they're going to figure out how to make it work with Daniel Jones. If there's someone equal and they don't like Daniel Jones, they'll move on from it. But right now, he is the guy that has them in a playoff hunt. So we'll deal with it after the season, but it's either equal or better.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay. So to Carl Banks.
Yeah.
I got you. Carl Banks with us here on The Fan.
Hey, Carl, give us your scouting report. Not scouting report, but your grading sheet, I guess we could say, on Kayvon Thibodeaux, because we get a lot of callers that maybe aren't seeing what he's doing, because I think he's playing well. He had nine pressures last week. You see it because you're watching every game. You're there. You're in the trenches essentially, even though you're lots of feet above it. But like you see it. People are assuming he's having a bad season because he has one sack. He's actually having a really good season, right?
A really, really good season. And I tweeted out the other day, Kayvon is coming, because what he's put together and what people don't understand, because we're fascinated with, or how many sacks does this first round draft choice have?
Yeah.
This guy has been a very dominant force in the run game. He's doing everything that they're asking him to do, but he's doing it at a high level. He is very disruptive, and those sacks are going to come. And when they come, they're going to come in bunches. So don't be shocked if he walks out of a game down this stretch with three sacks in one game, because he is coming and he is a disruptive force, but he is the most complete player in terms of everything he's doing. And Wink has him doing a lot of these guys that have come out in this draft.
All right, so when we have you on every week, Carl, it's generally about, larger topics, the quarterback stuff, the playoffs, are they feasible, the coaching staff's influence early on. Hey, we very rarely get into matchup stuff because it's kind of like doing 1980s radio. It's kind of boring. But I am curious, broad snapshot here, just the matchups with the Commanders. I mean, this is, in essence, the season, these two games against this team. So how do the Giants match up with them?
Well, it's a good matchup. And I think the difference maker in this game is Taylor Heineke, right? Because he can be weirdly good. Like, he doesn't throw great footballs, but, McCurlin is really good coming up with passes from him. He doesn't drive the ball outside the numbers very well, but they seem to catch him. So he's kind of the difference maker. The Giants will have to run the football at least 35 times this game to have some success. But, I think offensively they have a chance, but the Commanders do as well. I think it's a pretty equal matchup.
So we all know the numbers, but I want you to, take us beyond the curtain a little bit. Numbers the last couple of games have not been very favorable for Saquon. It is what it is. He's had in totality, he's had a really good year. Are you seeing the same amount of juice, or is it just there's no holes, or is he not as bouncy as he was?
Listen, he had one heavy workload game.
Yep.
In the last, 3 weeks.
The Texans had 35, I think, 36 carries.
Yeah, so
hasn't been the same.
But I don't think that zapped him. I just don't think they've had any room for him to run the football. I think, listen, and Tiki could probably speak to this more, but high-level running backs, they train for high-volume carries.
Yeah, that's right.
I don't think one game is going to zap everything that he's put into this offseason to get where,
unless there's an injury.
I just think it's not there.
Yeah, unless there's an injury or something, right?
Correct.
So, last thing here, Carl, we kind of happened upon this because BT was looking at the schedule. We were talking to Julian Love yesterday. The Washington Commanders have the Giants, a bye week, and then the Giants. It's almost unfair in a sense. To the Giants, right?
Well, the Giants have a mini bye right now coming into this game. So, but look, you play them as they come on the schedule.
Yeah, but the Giants have the Eagles in between. It's like they smash. Yeah. I know why they do this. Like they smash the division games in the back end because it makes for interesting divisional, ranking, jostling, whatever it may be. But this feels really unfair to the Giants.
It does in a sense, but this is crunch time. This is the money time. Nobody's complaining. Like there is a carrot dangling out there called playoffs, and everybody can see it within the division. So they just got to race to get it, be your best on game day.
Yeah, I lied to you. Last thing. Should Brian Dable be talking to this team about being a playoff squad? We know he says December football is meaningful. It's exciting. It's what you really want to play for. But should he start dangling the playoffs out there?
Well, it's in front of them. Like he can tell them what they're playing for right now.
Mm-hmm.
So that's not taboo, but I don't think he said, hey, guys, let's go win one and get in the playoffs. It's like, hey, look, this is what's in front of you. We have an opportunity. Let's take advantage of it. Yeah. So playoff conversations are not taboo. At this point of the year, they've earned it.
You think they win Sunday?
I do.
Okay.
I really do.
Me too.
Right. So the two Giant homers are saying the Giants get the win, and that's the way it's supposed to be, Banks.
Shut it up, hater.
I love it. Go get a win.
Thank you, Carl.
Thank you, man.
Thanks, Carl. Appreciate it.